Good morning, everybody in streaming world. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, the 119th day of 2025, Ted. 246 days left in 2025. I'm really counting down because I told you we're almost at Christmas.
Where? Where is this?
We're going to start seeing the Starbucks red cups. Dude, they start sooner and sooner every year. They start like they have Halloween. They just skip Thanksgiving and it's straight to Christmas now, especially in the era of Trump. Because
what does Trump have to do with Christmas? I mean,
because the conservatives say it's okay to be Christian again. So it's like Starbucks starts rolling out the Christmas cups like really early, right after Halloween. You get the pumpkin spice latte stuff. Not my thing, but whatever. It's
really and I like pumpkin. I like pumpkin seeds, and I like pumpkin pie. But
I like pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin coffee stuff.
I don't want to drink pumpkin.
No.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. And me would be Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You're tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, or TMI Show for short. We bring you way too much information. Okay. Wow.
Woman down.
The Starbucks gods have smited me, Ted, because I don't really go to Starbucks at all. I'd be surprised if I could account for $20 worth of sales a year.
I have the Starbucks app. It's actually one of the better apps in terms of rewards and stuff like that. It really is one of the better things. And like you, I literally put I think I put $25 on that card. And it was like 7 years ago. And it's there's still $14 on it. So anybody hang with me, come to my next book signing. I'll be trying to be doing some book signings. By the way, anybody who wants to invite me, if you live in a town where you have a good bookstore or a college or university that can invite me and promote the event, I'll come out and I'll do a talk and talk about what's left. So my new book.
some of
So
your
get in
Starbucks
touch.
money.
Rall.com/contact. That's how you reach me. So
there you go. So you too can bring Ted Rall to your town, live and in the flesh.
Who wouldn't? Yeah, I'll be coming to Montana.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is no, I'm very excited about that.
With producer Robbie, of course.
Yeah.
So if you guys are looking for this straight-laced button-down show, it bears repeating. This is not it. We do give you some news, but a lot of commentary, and we like to laugh along the way, because if you're new to the show, if you're familiar with who I am, I had to be a straight-laced button-down news anchor, because it's not my place to have an opinion in the role of an anchor. Ted Rall, obviously syndicated cartoonist. You kind of know political cartoonist, where people know where your political bent is, but what they didn't know is that you talk, Ted.
Who could stop me?
Because people are familiar with your writing and your art, but not your voice or seeing your face oftentimes. So
I have been.
This is where you find it.
In fairness, I did have I have had radio shows before,
Yeah,
with you,
but I mean, I think
Radio Sputnik,
yes,
and KFI radio in Los Angeles, AM 640. I still remember all the formatics. Did you know that KFI is the talk station with the most frequent traffic reports on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks?
Yes. Because I worked there.
Did you ever see Private Parts with Howard Stern? I'm sure you did.
I'm sure I did.
Great movie. And anyway, he kept making fun of how the boss kept telling him, it's WNBC. It's not WNBC. It's WNBC. And David G. Hall.
That's how it was back
Remember David G. Hall? He was the program director at KFI. And he would say, like, it's not KFI. It's like, it's KFI.
Yeah.
And if you listen to them, they always say that. Yeah, yeah.
KFI.
Yeah. More stimulating talk radio.
That's it. More stimulating. That's what I can't remember. I don't.
Which I always thought was vaguely sexual, in an inappropriate way. And
that's the kind of the theme of the show.
Because I never felt aroused ever.
You never know, Ted. There's some people out there, weirdos, especially in LA. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to like and follow this show wherever you're consuming the content. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and you subscribe. That way you can help us grow our little channel. We officially become a Rumble creator starting May 1st. I got our dates mixed up because, I keep thinking we are barreling through the year, but I thought it was happening sooner. That's wrong. So starting May 1st, that's when we become Rumble official, and we will have to start posting all of our subscriber only content. That's part of the agreement. So if you want to see the subscriber only, the paid sub only content in full,
the good stuff,
the good stuff in the back room.
That's right.
You gotta
extra.
You gotta cough up. We'll share some of it on the free show, obviously, but that's part of the deal.
The ghetto show, as we call it.
the ghetto free show.
The trash show. Do you remember one of my favorite skits on SNL? And that's a short list because SNL is generally not funny. But when Jimmy Carter was trying to introduce the metric system, and Dan Aykroyd did a skit about the new alphabet, which was going to be the 10-letter alphabet, the decabet.
Okay.
And he's like, and he explains how it's going to work. And he's like, LMNOP, the so-called trash letters, will be replaced by this random character.
I have not seen that. Although I have met Dan Aykroyd. Very nice, very, very big man. I never knew that.
He's like a ham hock. Yeah, he's crazy.
A big man. I met him at House of Blues because I used to be cool and hang out with like really cool people in the know in Hollywood. And I got to hang out in this like special VIP area where, the owners and the important people get to hang out. And of course, one of the owners of House of Blues.
That's cool.
It was like, guys,
hang out with Canada's favorite son.
Is he Canadian? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, a lot of those comics are Canadians.
Oh yeah, Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Rick
We'll
Moranis,
talk about
famously.
I didn't know that either.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the Canadians were super
think about it. He was Bob and Doug McKenzie.
I didn't know they're. I don't know. I just know they're
Whitmore.
Hollywood actors.
Good
This is
day,
not my area
you
of
hoser.
expertise.
Yeah.
We will be talking about the Canadians on the back side of the show after we talk to our guest. But with that, our guest is here, so we'll do our one headline, the first one, as a teaser for the back half.
We could bring in VK to talk about that after I tee it up if you want. Anyway, let's do it.
Yeah, let's hit the jaws and Ted. You know, everybody wants to see the back half.
Oh, of course. Well, that's also sounds obscene, but anyway.
Yeah, stay for the back.
Who doesn't want to see the back half? All right.
Obviously, no talking. Ted, you always start when the jaws is still on the screen.
That's not true. You say that. You said that a week ago. And I haven't done it since.
Yesterday. No, it cut off yesterday because Miss Jaws was still on the screen.
Okay, so there's something wrong with the jaws. The jaws are like,
give it a moment.
It must have like a pause after the jaws.
You got to pause a moment until you see yourself on the screen.
I'm good at following directions. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. You are a former husband. I'm sure wives everywhere can agree. Anybody that's had that title, your ability to follow questions has just gone out the window. True. True.
Jaws it, damn it. Jaws it. Did I wait long enough, Manila?
There you go. You got it.
Okay. Oh my God.
You got it. Nailed it.
Oh my God. All right, work wife. All right. He has blinged it with gold cherubim, gold. I did not pronounce that right. Cherubim, gold eagles, gold medallions, gold figurines. I see a theme here, and gilded rococo mirrors. He is cramped. You know, it's really funny, Manila. I used to think that this look, when I was a kid, everybody, I think when they're a kid, like you go to like Versailles, like and you see all the Louis XIV stuff, and you're like, I want, this is classy. I want my stuff to look like this. And
I want that gold toilet at the
And then later on you realize, oh, that's just like pimp dictator look. Anyway.
It's so gross.
He has crammed its walls with gold-framed paintings of great men from U.S. history. And in 100 days, Donald Trump has turned the Oval Office into his own gilded cage. The portraits of Andrew Jackson, well, he had that up before. Ronald Reagan and other past presidents. And in fairness, he has Democrats up there, too. I noticed FDR. Gaze down from a past that the 47th seems determined to erase. Trump is seeking to remake the U.S. in his image at frightening speed. The shock and awe of his second term has challenged many Americans' understanding of who they are. Certainly challenged my understanding of the way I look at border and customs enforcement officers. Anyway, from the moment he was sworn in on January 20th with tech oligarchs Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg looking on, it was clear that Trump's second presidency would be different. Instead of the conservative stalwart Mike Pence as Veep, there's MAGA isolationist and vampire J.D. Vance. Werewolf. Sorry, I don't want to insult vampires. Instead of the retired four-star General Jim Mattis as defense secretary, there's former Fox News weekend host and Signal chat aficionado Pete Hegseth. And instead of experienced hands ready to curb Trump's impulses, there's a cabinet of sycophants eager to indulge them, including in ostentatious displays for the TV cameras. Trump, 78 years old, going on 90, told The Atlantic magazine, the first time I had two things to do, run the country and survive. I had all these crooked guys. And the second time, I run the country and the world. Whoa. Trump and his allies had 4 years in political exile to plot and plan a disruptive agenda laid out in Project 2025, a set of proposals by the Heritage Foundation think tank in Washington. Yet its execution has been undermined by the president's mercurial nature, cabinet infighting and leaks, especially at the Pentagon, reportedly now in disarray. But hey, how dangerous is it really to have the world's biggest employer and highly nuclear power in a state of disarray? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, Ted, remember, you pointed this out, and astutely so, is that perhaps it's best that it's being run by a halfwit.
True.
That's
true.
Pete Hegseth. Perhaps it's best. We might have accidental peace.
It's not a feature. It's a bug. I mean, the other way around, right? Yeah, the bug is the feature.
Like it's good. Perhaps it's good that we don't have a guy that, is like a full bird colonel up there that's been in the military for 50 years, right? That knows how to get everything done both politically and professionally in terms of the military. Perhaps it's good that we have a Fox Weekend guy that's running the DOD.
All right. So let's do quickly before we bring in VK, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Trump's first 100 days. I'll go first. All right. So the good is that Americans wanted a president who was going to be active and do things fast. There's always a sense that they promise the world, they get in there and then they sit on their ass and they don't do anything. This president, no one can argue, is like sitting on his laurels, not doing anything.
Fair.
I mean, things are happening. It's exciting. It's interesting. I mean, all eyes are on Trump and the White House. I mean, I give him major points for being a political entertainer and for setting the agenda. And all eyes across the world are looking at him like, what will this guy do next? America is the center of the universe right now. So I think I'll give him that. I mean, as a student of history, I think that he really deserves credit for that. I mean, you compare that to the disappointment that you typically see from previous presidents in their first 100 days. You have to go back to FDR, really, who made up the whole 100 days thing. He's to see someone
he made it a thing.
Yeah, he turned it in. He's like, during my first 100 days, I will do this. And it's funny is nobody else really, only the press got attached to that afterwards, but it's not like something that other presidents have ever really said that much about. But Trump's made good. Okay, the bad, certainly the deportations, the way that the deportations have been handled, deporting women and children, including a 4-year-old U.S. citizen, stage 4 dying cancer patient, and depriving them of their medications, the brutality, the cruelty, the crushing of student protesters at Columbia University and Harvard and other colleges, and the mistreatment of foreign students, who are like grad students or are just here to study, the fuck you to the world, like that's causing like no Canadians aren't coming here anymore. Tourism is already down 14% from last year. People are afraid to even leave the country lest they be arrested and harassed when they come home. That's really bad. Also bad, the tariffs have risked tanking the economy. They certainly haven't done any good. The way that they were imposed so quickly and so haphazardly.
I said you don't get to do ugly now because you did 2 bads.
No. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to reclassify. Tariffs are the bad. The deportations are the ugly, because that looks and feels like fascism. And and ignoring court orders, like accidentally on purpose deporting a guy who there's a court order not to, and then just playing cute in front of federal court judges and saying like, nothing we can do now. He's off in El Salvador.
He's gone. He's up in the air.
Yeah,
I don't know how airplanes work.
He's over the Gulf of America. It's like, yeah, they literally said that. Okay, so that's ugly.
Yeah.
Manila.
Okay,
good, bad, ugly.
Mine are much briefer. I'm going to say the good is that he sure as hell came in like a wrecking ball. He is there wrecking the business as usual, the typical world order. NATO is on its toes. Like the whole Ukraine scam is
talking to Iran too.
The Iran talks look like, the Iranians this morning said that they're going to pitch a business idea to him. They really know how to get in his ear is by saying, money, money, money. So they know. So they're, he is upsetting the apple cart. So for me, that is a good, because to me, that's a net good, because the apple cart, the way it stood with, even though his ideas, his designs about making America lead again and being the hegemonic world order, the fact that he is upsetting the apple cart is having the inverse effect. And I think we're going to see greater cooperation and greater expansion of like BRICS and other nations to counter this America first and first leading the world theory that Trump has, because he's upsetting NATO and all these other, institutions that have been this Cold
They're like, we
War
can't
era
work with
stuff.
We can't always count on being able to work with the Americans going
Correct.
forward.
So I think that is a feature, not a bug to Trump 2.0. That's the good for me. The bad, and this one's not exclusive to Trump, because I would have put this squarely in Biden.
I have to add
too.
a quick bad. Too many executive orders, not enough legislation.
Yeah, well, that's not on him though. He doesn't create the laws.
It's on him. He's not trying to get buy-in from the Congress, the people's representatives.
No, but I mean, Congress.
He's lazy. He's just doing executive orders, and that's not.
Well, because
that's a dictatorship. That's not a democracy.
I'm not going to put that in his camp. That Congress is bullshit. When have they passed anything significant? They haven't in between both houses. They both
Biden's infrastructure bill. Biden's infrastructure bill.
They're not doing their job. So, I'm not going to put that on Trump, but I will say what both he and Biden have done. And this is, like I said, it's not exclusive to Trump, but the constant hypocrisy of whatever free speech is. So we saw the bullshit coming out of Joe Biden about protecting free speech. And then we get, the Twitter files get revealed by Matt Taibbi and those guys, right? So we know that free speech is phony baloney talking points. And now, with the Republicans saying, oh, put us in office, we're going to bring free speech back. Don't be a snowflake. Your facts don't have feelings. Well, now that they're in office and you have, talking heads like Ben Shapiro going up there crying about that's anti-Semitic. You can't say that. You hate Jews. And look, dude, facts don't have feelings. You can't, the shoe's on the other foot now. So both sides, whether it's a Biden camp or a Trump camp, both sides, that's the bad, is they are hypocritical when it comes to free speech, because that, as you know, bugs the shit out of me and has put you and I out of jobs a couple of times, at least twice for me.
Yeah, twice for you, yeah.
So, I'm not
twice for me too.
That hypocrisy. Not a thing for me.
Actually, more than twice.
The ugly, I'm just going to keep this short. All the gold gilded shit. just if you've ever watched old videos, so like tacky. when Melania she was like carting around a little baron when he was, because it's her only child. She gave a tour of like their penthouse at Trump Tower, and it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Gold gilded everything. And I just figured, oh, maybe it's like a 90s thing and she moved into it. She didn't pick it. And I'm willing to believe that's not her jam. It's his.
Oh, her jam. Her jam is goth. You remember the Christmas decorations? I think she has great style. Weird, crazy goth thing.
Red goth.
Oh, I much prefer her weird, cool. Dark vampire Central European vibe than his.
Yeah, she's avant-garde.
She's weird and cool. Yeah,
I love that. So this gold gilded stuff being brought back.
She's just sitting there listening to Joy Division every day.
That's so cool. The gold gilded stuff, flat out ugly, out of style. But you know what? Trump's hair. You look at his hair, you know that he's gonna like gold gilded toilets. Like that's ugly. True. And we should note, Ted, people don't realize this, but as far as decorating the Oval Office goes, there is a secret chamber, not so secret, I guess, but like in the basement or something of the White House, where you have to select from whatever's in storage to decorate the Oval.
Yes. And there's many options. There's different desks. Like lately, the Resolute desk has been has been the desk, but it wasn't always. There's been other desks. Like Truman had a different desk.
You have to pick like here's our array of curtains. Here's our array of rugs. Here's like
little statues.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. The knickknacks, the tchotchkes.
A lot of paint. And I think he can get, like, honestly, any painting that's that's the possession of the Smithsonian or whatever.
Yes.
If he's like, oh, I want Washington crossing the Delaware, bring that bastard in here. I think he can get that.
I think they have, but typically it's just you go to the White House basement and kind of pick from what's in there, which is why we've never seen.
I wonder if you could do your own stuff. Like, I want a Jackson Pollock,
That's what I'm saying. Like we thought we were going to
Like
see
from the
something
National
cool
Gallery.
under Obama, right? Like a young president. It didn't happen. So the Oval has looked more or less
It's
the
really,
same.
it's like, yeah, it's always been, it's always had a bit of a granny look. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
I'm
Especially
looking for the doilies on the couch.
the furniture. But yeah, Trump
The
is
doilies on the armrest. You know
Trump
what I
is
mean?
what I will say. Scott Stantis, friend of the show, he pointed this out. The worst part of the Oval Office under Trump too is that coffee table with the presidential seal inlay that he put in there. It is awful.
Ooh.
It's so bad. I mean, it used to be just a coffee table.
Decor.
I'm pretty sure Obama had a glass coffee table. I'm not partial to those because they smudge and smear really easily. So they all, you need to clean them like 3 times a day.
Yeah, but you have staff, like butlers all day to come clean everything. He's got a Coke button on his Resolute desk, a Diet Coke button.
Yeah, I'm aware.
That's his drug of choice. So anyway, that is my ugly, is the literal ugly decor. Bringing in gold. He's like, give me all of the gold gilded. Like everything from the basement that's gold, I want it.
Yeah, that's right. And if there's not enough, he'll bring in more. All right, let's bring in our guest.
Add to it. All right, we'll leave that there. 100 days, the days of Trump. All right, let's switch over to talk about some foreign policy here.
Explain the current crisis between India and Pakistan over Kashmir. The 2 nuclear-armed states have fought 3 wars, one of which I helped break the story for. It's called the Kargil conflict in 1999, and we can talk a little bit about that. But I was there when it started. On April 22nd, 2025, a militant attack in Pahalgam killed 26 people, mostly tourists. This was the worst attack in Kashmir, in the India section of Kashmir, in 20 years. India accused Pakistan of backing the attack. A group called Kashmir Resistance, which is a Muslim group, claimed responsibility. Prime Minister Modi vowed to he's a right-wing nationalist Indian, vowed retaliation. The Pakistanis said they had nothing to do with it. The line of control, that is the frozen conflict line between India and Pakistan in the former province of Jammu and Kashmir, has seen both forces at high altitude firing shells and small arms fire since the attack. Ceasefire violations have been seen. There are UN observers there, and they're urging both sides to cut it out. The Pakistanis say that they shot down a drone that was from India. That's probably true. India, meanwhile, has a water-sharing treaty with Pakistan. They've suspended that. They closed the border crossing between Attari and Wagah. They expelled Pakistani citizens from there. In retaliation, Pakistan closed airspace to Indian flights, so they have to go around. Halted trade, canceled visas. 450 Indian people who were planning to visit Pakistan are not going to be able to do that. India shut down 48 tourist sites in its section of Kashmir, bolstering security at others. Tourism is definitely very rock bottom right now. Forces went in and demolished militant-linked homes, kind of like they do in Israel in the West Bank, raising fears among the locals. And the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, that's in the Indian side, condemned the attack, vowing to fight threats to harmony. Regional parties are against those home demolitions. And so just to put this into some context for people who might not really understand what this is all about, in 1947, India was partitioned. It was formerly a British colony called the Raj. It was partitioned into India and Pakistan. The idea was that India was going to become majority Hindu state, Pakistan would become a majority Muslim state, and it was very chaotic. Millions of people were killed during the partition. The state of Jammu and Kashmir, which was a vassal state of the British in India, has and had a Muslim majority, but its Maharaja was Hindu, and so he wanted to keep it a part of India. But of course, his population wanted to join Pakistan. He kind of dithered, and so ultimately the Pakistanis invaded. He decided to seek help from the Indians. something called the Instrument of Accession. This sparked the first war between the two countries in 1947 and 1948. The line of control was established by the UN, and ever since then, India has had Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan administers Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, which is basically also for a long time was called just the northern areas. Both sides claim the entire territory, so these are disputed. And there have been, like I said, 2 more wars since then. The most recent one in 1999, high altitude warfare. There's also radical Muslim insurgencies, mostly Muslims, and diplomatic tensions ever since. So joining us to talk about all this is friend of the show, VK Samhith. He's the founder of BornMonkie, a game development studio based in India. He has produced more than 24 mobile games and is currently working on a new horror game called Occult Chambers. Looking forward to that. VK, thanks for joining us here on the TMI Show.
Hi. Hi, guys.
So, how heightened would you say, how aware and obsessed would you say people in India are over this situation right now? Is this it seems like a crisis, a pretty hot crisis.
I mean, from the outside perspective, I could see how this is blown out of proportions, but we've had a lot of problems with the line of control and the Pakistan occupied Kashmir for a very long time. Now, every time there have been minor attacks, and we've kind of had diplomatic approach to it till now, and then this is the first time where the attack itself, the terrorist attack itself, was very clear about their intentions, what they wanted to get out as a message to the the Kashmir that is today. So this time the government wants to react very differently, and they've decided to take some very serious measures to make sure this doesn't repeat, or there is some sort of closure to this ongoing conflict. And they have decided to just first, I think the major thing was to stop the Indus Waters Treaty, and then a lot of deportations, mass deportation. I think close to 2,000 plus Pakistanis, mass deportation. And now there is some sort of commotion at the line of control. Pakistan and India are shooting at each other. So yeah, there is a lot of chaos, which was, I think, the intention of the attack. I would say a lot of divide. Obviously we have matured Indians, and there are people who just get rattled by every disturbance. And then when religions are involved, they just there are people who are just not that emotionally intelligent. So you have problems inside the country as well, not just at the border.
VK, so being that this has been disputed territory for generations and generations, there's obviously a lot of bad blood, at least from the states. Is that also the case between the people, like the people of the Kashmir Valley? I've been reading, for example, from AP, that they say that the Kashmir Valley is the heart of anti-India rebellion, and India controls Kashmir. So is that kind of sentiment also within the general public as well?
I mean, the population is pretty mixed. So there are people who think they belong to India, and then there are people who definitely think this place should be part of Pakistan, and that is the reason why there is so much conflict, even till this day. If it was just a majority that wanted to be in India, things would have been different.
Sure.
That being said, the army, there's a lot of protection. There's a government for that state, and the new government, Prime Minister Modi's government, has taken significant steps to make this a safe place. Regardless, it's a mixed population where few still think they belong to Pakistan. So you can't change people, but definitely it's still in India's control, and a majority of it is. So they're trying to do their best. But you can't control what people are thinking, or what they want. But majority still think that they're happy with the Indian government, the progress that they've made. This place has become a lot more peaceful in the last few years, but still things like this happen.
People always forget that there's such a massive Muslim population in India, right? By some measures, India is the largest Muslim country in the world, 300
Yep.
plus million people.
Is it really?
Yeah, no, people don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's especially with Modi, people are really focused on but it's a multi-ethnic state, a very multi-ethnic state.
Yeah.
And it's very diverse. I mean, it almost makes you wonder if you had to go back in time, like what was the purpose of this partition, really? I mean,
Right.
what was the point of it? A lot of Indians, when I was there, really think it was a national tragedy and very foolish. And not to mention, it led to, a war that we never talk about, right? The war between with Bangladesh and the East Pakistan conflict in the early 1970s. Yeah, I mean, the thing, I also want to be clear here, this is a spectacularly beautiful place. If you're just listening and not watching, it's breathtaking, both on the Indian and the Pakistani side of the border. It is absolutely stunning, right? Like Shangri-La is supposedly set in Pakistani Kashmir, right? On their side of the border. It's stunning. And I was
It's sort of like their Niagara Falls.
But also
kind of a destination.
Now, the dirty secret here for a long time was that the Pakistanis had they had this relationship with the Taliban, both their own Taliban and the Afghan Taliban,
Sure.
And they basically would let the Afghan Taliban into the northern areas to come in and fight the Indians, and then say, "Oh well, there's nothing we can do," and then so it's kind of like the Pakistanis. They are covertly behind all this for the most part. They know that at least they know things are going to happen. They don't tell the Indians.
Yep. I mean, this is they try to persuade people who are really at the brink of poverty and whatnots, and so they play these savior patterns on these people and kind of turn these people around. Which is how they have access. They just ran into the forest, entered the state, and shot at these innocent civilians who were just tourists. I mean, that just doesn't happen without local cooperation. Not that I'm saying that the local people are in the wrong, but it is a safe safe assumption that there is a very very minor population that still is helping the Pakistan or the terrorists.
Or they turn a blind eye, right? It's
at least.
Yeah, and I have a soundbite here from the defense minister of Pakistan, and he's saying that he believes a military incursion by India is imminent. So let's listen to what he says. Whoa. And you tell us if being that you're of voting age, you're of fighting age in any military in the world, really. But do you when we hear what he says, you give us your thoughts if you think there's any meat behind this.
Yeah, there is a likelihood that India will attempt an incursion in Pakistan and will engage Pakistan militarily. That is a possibility, a very clear and stark possibility. Cannot be ruled out. We have reinforced our forces because it is something which is imminent now. So in that situation, some strategic decisions have to be taken. We are absolutely ready, at high alert. If there is a violation of our airspace or there's violation of the ground, we are engaged in any way on the seas. We are prepared to respond, inshallah. we'll give a befitting response to India. I would still believe and very firmly believe that nuke will not be an option, because it will destroy both countries.
So he says at the end there, he doesn't believe that nuclear is a viable option. But so he says he's taking that off the table, but he seems, you would think, being the defense minister, that he is privy to, some high level information. You would think some intelligence, maybe, so that maybe he's just not, talking off the cuff. I feel like you would hope that's what a defense minister would base his comments on, but he says it's imminent. So is there fear between, like the local Indian population in that area that this will become a hot war?
From what I can see, yes. I mean, there's because a lot of speculation inside the country itself. There's a lot of chaos, and the government has to do something to justify or calm down the population as well, because this has been the reaction in the country has been really, very, very sad to look at, because people are divided not just on the issue, but also religion comes in. So it's just even more charged issue. And obviously, the government might try to either do a surgical strike or some sort of, extension on the line of control. But the Pakistan has straight up, jumped to conclusion that this could be a blown out war, which doesn't seem that positive, considering they could have been, in the space of, hey, this is not us, we'll try to help you find who this is. Instead of that, these guys have straight up assumed that there would be a war, which seems very, serious, considering coming from a defense minister.
I want to be really clear here about the topography too. I mean, this is the Himalayas basically, and these are the biggest mountains in the world. It's right at this time. It's late April. It is cold up there. It's snowing up there. It is like the fighting, a ground invasion would be it's not impossible, but it's very, very, very hard. So I think it's far more likely that you'll see, for example, in 1999, I was there. I was on a bus on the Karakoram Highway from China toward Islamabad when the Kargil conflict broke out, which is now known as the third the third Kashmir War. And we blundered into basically Taliban troops who had been, General Musharraf had just seized control of the government in Islamabad. He invited the Taliban in to fight the Indians, and we sort of blundered into this whole mess. And most of the fighting was not ground forces. It was shelling. It's missiles being lobbed back and forth over the line of control, because it's just so hard to forget fighting. Walking around there, getting from point A to point B is hard. Even at the fighting season's only 3-4 months long. This is high, it's over 10,000 feet in elevation, everywhere pretty much. So it's I think it's, if you look at the images here, imagine, for example, this flooded river. You want to cross that river? Good luck. So, and not to mention helicopters don't work well at high altitude. It's just even drones, they don't fly well at high altitude because there's not enough lift in the air. So there's a lot of logistical considerations that will make the Indians. The only thing I could see Prime Minister Modi wanting to make a splash to punch the Pakistanis in the nose for domestic consumption, right? For his political base, but it's not militarily a bright move.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The terrain, the conditions, the season right now, it's just not a situation where you would be happy to go to war, and that is definitely not the intention with what I'm reading. They just want to kind of obviously for political reasons, they want to have some sort of event that could conclude in the minds of the general population that this has been resolved. That is to catch the militants who have committed this terror attack, or at least have some sort of resolution with the army at the line of control.
I mean, politically, wasn't there before Modi, wasn't there sort of a move to give the Kashmiris some autonomy within the Indian state in terms of their local government? And that seemed to be working until Modi came in and got rid of that.
Yes. I mean, that is the side effect of it could be this attack, right? Like some sort of. So what happened is previously it was its own state, obviously under India, but now the state is under the central control, controlled by the New Delhi and whatnot. So we do have some change of control, and even I'm somewhere in South India. So when I get to read about Kashmir, this is all from the media, right? So I read, okay, the control has changed, things have got a lot cheap, calmer. Tourism has increased, it has got safer, is what has been translated to the media. And now we have this attack which kind of disrupts the whole narrative there.
Yeah. And VK, what about in terms of, we don't know if Prime Minister Modi has ruled out using nukes, but it sounds like the Pakistani side has ruled out nukes. So I guess 50% of nukes off the table is good. I think that's a good sign. However, this is where I'm kind of confused by this, because when we bring in all the these neighboring countries, the friends and foes of who and what side is which, who's friends with where, the fact that Pakistan is officially a Muslim country, right? You would think that the other Muslim leaders in the Middle East, neighboring countries, would back Pakistan. And upon researching this story, I was actually surprised, and we're showing it on screen now, that all of the major Middle Eastern Muslim players are on India's side of this. They're condemning the violence, obviously, which sometimes I find it kind of hilarious, like when MBS of Saudi Arabia is condemning violence. But hey, okay,
just keep that bone saw in the jar, dude.
Yeah, that's right. So at least he's saying some of the right things. But all these Muslim nations, they have good relations with India, and they're backing Prime Minister Modi here in case should a hot war break out. But then you have the big 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is neighboring China, that also has border disputes with India. China is,
although not nearly as serious.
No, but an economic competitor, not an enemy, but a competitor to China. China and India, right? They're competitors. They're vying for basically the same kind of production contracts, I guess we can say, right? But China would then back Pakistan. This gets really, really messy. When we're talking about this, there's nukes in all of these countries that we're talking about here: China, Pakistan, India. How do you see this shaking out? Do you think if the Pakistani defense minister is correct, that they have intelligence saying that a hot war is imminent, do you foresee some of the Muslim countries coming in on behalf of India?
So I think there's going to be a lot of support from the Middle East for India for sure. That is just has been historically like that. We have great ties with Middle East countries, business wise and investment wise. So it just politically makes sense that they are supporting. And at the same time, Pakistan, instead of trying to solve the problem, is on the defense and is talking about a war. So it's very hard for other countries to support a country like that. The only real possibility I see is China backing Pakistan if things go serious.
Oh, and Turkey also. We should point that out. Turkey backs Pakistan.
Pakistan, yep. Yeah. And we had a lot of mean tweets to Turkey from Indians because of this. But yeah, I really, as a citizen of India, I really hope this just doesn't turn into, a taxpayer money wasting war, and just.
Then you'll be like Americans, VK. That's what we do. That's our expertise.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing we don't want to learn from US for sure.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, talking about all the taxpayer money, right?
Yep. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, and it just becomes a script for World War III, where you have China, India, and Pakistan, and all the world getting in. I'm hopeful that there'll be some sort of a mini commotion at the line of control, and then it settles down. And I know that this is a lot of people's lives were lost with this attack, but I just don't want personally don't want this to extend regardless. So maybe they would if you're talking about assumptions, they would have like a minor commotion attack at the line of control, and that should be it. I'm pretty sure both countries would never resort to nukes. Pakistan has already said that they would not use it, but India for sure, being known for being peaceful, wouldn't resort to that. But yeah, like I'm really worried if China gets into the issue and like kind of funds, or like at least provokes Pakistan to an extent of a war, and we could see some serious issues.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening when you see the other players in the geopolitics get involved to what should be a domestic skirmish. I mean, it's awful that more than 24 people, scores of people, innocent people, were just being tourists going about their daily lives being killed. But now there's potential that we risk hundreds and thousands perhaps of people dying if tempers begin to flare. So I do think it's a good sign that the Secretary of Defense in Pakistan is already de-escalating by putting it out there that we're not going to use nukes. We're not going to do that. But he still says that he believes that this attack by India by actual armed forces, not rebels, by actual armed forces, is imminent. And that is where the geopolitical players from the other countries can start to jump in, and especially as we know that the global South is really trying to assert its strength these days, right? To show that we're not under the American jackboot. We're going to control our own hemisphere of the world, and the big players like China are very decisive in that. But then the Saudis are very decisive, in their strong positions and their ties to the U.S. So this can get really messy. We already have like a tariff war. Trump is already fighting India with the tariff war, and China. It's already really, really messy. Do you think financially, especially you being a businessman, you develop games, your most recent one, I guess it's early release. You gave it to Robbie to play, and we've got it on the screen there. Do you believe that this type of potential hot war is also going to translate into the business world and impact businesses between all of these countries that are, this side, we back Pakistan, this side says, oh, we back India. You think that's going to affect your business?
I mean, if there is a war, for sure, I think it'll probably affect us as citizens first, and then as businesses later. But yeah, if there is a war, video games are the last thing you probably think about. Considering already that we're not that of a prominent industry in India, so we won't be a priority for support for anything. But yeah, this is definitely. I really hope that there is some stability that is brought back, and people calm down. There are a lot of angry people because of this in the country, and I really hope that it doesn't escalate any more than what it is now. But if there is some common ground for somehow using both intelligences to figure out who, at least to catch them, the attackers, that would be good. But yeah, this is if there is even a minor amount of hint of war, obviously investments are going to stop in the country, and there's going to be a lot of freezing period, for sure. Economically, yes, there's going to be a lot of impact.
I think India is in a better position, though, economically than Pakistan. Pakistan had to,
for sure.
Their economy is in the
That's one of the big reasons that the Arab states are on Team India. They know that's where the money is.
That's true. I mean, it's true, and production capability, and there's rice production in India. There's food there. It's just there's a lot of reason, I think, for more Middle Eastern countries to be Team India than they would, which surprised me, because you would think there was going to be some solidarity, I suppose, I guess, between Muslim countries, but not so much, because money is the biggest key player in this, I would say, Ted.
Always.
Real quick, Ted, if they went to hot war, what's the history on this? When was the last time India was involved in a big hot war? Do you know?
Well, 1999, the Kargil conflict that I was in. That was people kind of forgot the role of General Pervez Musharraf in all this.
How big was that war, though?
By American standards, it's not Iraq or anything like that. It was we would have considered it to be kind of a skirmish, right? Maybe it's hard. I'm trying to think of almost seriously the Grenada or Panama operations or something like that. Look, it was, the thing is, the population up in that area is very sparse. There's not that many people who live there, so there's not that many people to get killed. And the fighting basically involved proxy forces, either Taliban or Taliban-affiliated militant Muslim groups on the Pakistani side versus the Indian army, who are stationed up there at the line of control all the time. The Indians didn't have to draft anyone to do this. I mean, they didn't have to conscript. They have a standing army. And most of the war is basically firing missiles at each other. They're not that well, back then they weren't that accurate. Now it would be a different matter for sure. It would be ugly. But it was a hot war for sure. And, but that said, it was a strange war. I remember sitting in a cafe while this was going on, and I'm just drinking my soda and eating my food, and Indian missile hit a building up the street, and my waiter, Pakistani guy, goes running out into the street, starts screaming anti-Indian insults in Urdu, and then he comes back. He's like, "Do you want another Coke?" I'm like, "Yeah." So it was kind of like that, It's not like everything's being leveled. Okay, it's not Gaza. It's not like that.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know, right, VK? You, I guess.
So we had about 4 wars, and the first 2 I think were first
one with China.
Pakistan. Yep.
1962, right? China.
Yeah, and the most recent one was the Kargil that you were talking about, 1999.
So much has changed, though, for both both those countries, right? For China and India since the 60s or the 90s. So much has changed in terms of capability and power and position in the world. So
the thing is, the free radical here is Pakistan. Okay, China and India are, whatever, rhetoric aside, they're run by level-headed people with lots of checks and balances in their government. True. They're not going to nuke any. They're not going to go crazy. Nothing's going to get out of control between them ever. They'll just talk. But the Pakistanis, their government, they're high-strung. Those people, I like that. I like the defense minister. He almost made me fall asleep. He was so calm. But they have a history. They're hotheads over there. And they're very serious. And
Pete Hegseth, he is not, Ted.
No, he is not Pete Hegseth.
Do you guys know the structure of the Pakistani government? The military
Runs
force
everything.
controls the government.
Yeah, the military runs the government. Like literally, there's a military brigade in charge of the school system. There's a military brigade in charge of trash collection. The military is a completely militarized government. If you're a Pakistani parent and your son gets a job in the military, you are so happy and proud because they're set for life. Heard. That's it. That's the place to work.
Why is that not considered a junta government then? Or is it?
Because it's not temporary. It's just the way things are, right? I mean, it is a junta government. Absolutely. It's a
permanent one.
It's not really a dictatorship, though. They have a sort of an uncomfortable democracy. They have a very, very vibrant press. But being prime minister of Pakistan is a dangerous job. You might be jailed, tortured, killed. Anything could happen. It's a wild and crazy country. Let me just tell you, like having spent a lot of time there, it's like you can be at any time. There's a spark. There's always like dry tinder and sparks flying around, and anything can explode any second. Like some politician says something about someone tweets something, and there's a riot and things are burning. I mean, people there. It's not. Let me tell you my best Pakistan versus India story. I spent 3 weeks in Pakistan, and then I went on to India. I crossed the border at a very famous border crossing at Lahore, where they have these elaborate border changing ceremonies. But I didn't go during that time. It was the middle of the day. Nothing's going on. It's just me being with my backpack being escorted across the line. You walk up to like a painted line in the middle of the street. I'm handed over to my Indian counterpart, right? He takes me, and the Indian guy takes me. We start walking, and it's blazing hot. Like it's over 100 degrees. It's so humid. It's brutal. We're pouring with sweat. And the guy goes, today is too cold. And I remember thinking, that's the first joke I've heard in 3 weeks. Pakistanis don't joke. There's no humor at all. Indians joke. Indians have all the time. Like that's part of their culture. But Pakistan, and I was like, it's so weird because these two people were part of the same country not very long ago, but they're so different,
Interesting. Yeah. Final words, VK. Then we'll let you go. We appreciate you spending so much time with us and giving us, even though you're not in this world of like geopolitics, but you're born and raised in India. You've seen how things are done. So we appreciate you sharing that time with us and giving us at least a civilian's perspective about what's happening. Any final words on this issue and what you hope happens very soon?
Yeah, so I think the attack was done to like create chaos and division, which
That's
is
the
very
purpose.
clear. Yep, and I really hope that people realize through all the smokes and mirror that we have to stay united and kind of create some sort of resolution with what has happened in Kashmir, but not through violence. I think that would be the saner thing to do.
Yeah.
Most people just want to live their lives, of course.
Yeah. I think especially the younger generation, like VK's generation, they're more interested in this stuff, like fun, happy stuff like this. And Ted, it's our generation, the Xers and boomers that are left that are still like trying to be like hegemonic power. That's the only power we can have. We got to control everything. But I think the younger generation, unless you're, I don't know, like Stephen Miller or something, who is a millennial, wants to deport everybody and start war everywhere. But that's neither here nor there. So we hope for peace too, obviously, because it's sad. It's such a sad story that random people.
Yeah, it's depressing.
It's very sad. I mean, I know Americans have a hard time imagining this, but imagine going to Niagara Falls, sightseeing with your family one day, taking pictures, going, you're getting splashed with water. And suddenly you get just sprayed with awful. awful, awful. Small children were killed, old people were killed, just awful. But anyway, I hope you guys go check out BornMonkie.com. I'll put up the website there. This is VK's gaming company. This is the project he's working on. We featured it before when we did a little gaming special. People don't often appreciate how much work it takes, VK, to make beautiful graphics in gaming like this. So we're showing it on screen. And then I can't wait till you release this one, because I would let my son play this.
Yeah, this is pretty kid friendly for sure. Yeah,
super cute. Robbie, I think he wants to get on stage to say a couple of words.
Yeah, no, that game is fun. I mean, that game right there, just there on the screen, it's a puzzle game. Your son would 100% love it. You definitely got to be at least 6 years old to be able to figure out some of the puzzles, because I was overthinking a lot of this stuff. And
you were just overthinking. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's a fun game. And what's really cool about it is that it has a 2D and a 3D mode. Like right there, I'm walking in front of the coins, but I can't pick them up. So you have to change your perspective. So that way you can actually, you have the 2D, and then you can change it to a 3D mode where you can actually interact more with the world. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a great little game.
Yeah, this is not my world, but I appreciate it because I'm, Super Mario and Pac-Man.
Yeah, I'm so honored and thrilled that VK. I'm glad that VK let me have early access to it. So hey, try this game out. So I did. I love it.
Capybaras are all over the news. They used to be. Nobody used to know.
They're my favorite little cute animal.
Well, they're not all cute. They're not all small. I should say, not all.
No, they're not small.
Is that what that is?
They're big and chunky. Yeah, that's a capybara.
That's a capybara. Yeah.
I have no idea. I was like, oh, look at this. I thought it was like a gerbil or something. Hell, I don't know.
That's a capybara that sells caps.
There's a capybara in the movie Woke.
His name is Cappy, right there, Robbie. Come on.
Hey, listen, I'm stupid. I'm dumb.
They have them in people have them in Texas as pets.
I ain't in Texas, Ted.
I know.
I
sound like I am, but I ain't.
Yes, you do.
We will let you go, VK. Thank you so much, and we'll be happy to talk with you again very soon. Keep us posted with your game.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, VK. Thanks so much.
Thank you, VK. Bye-bye. All right. With that, producer Robbie, let me get this off screen. So you wanted to school us real quickly about what's happening with the Rumble Creator Program.
Yes, because you're peddling fake news at the beginning.
Oh, I don't know.
I am going to fact check you.
Okay.
So basically what's going on is that on the 1st, the TMI show will officially become a Rumble a Rumble partner. So that means Rumble is going to be, it's basically going to be us helping support the show. So what that means is one of the requirements that we have to stream at least 5 hours to Rumble premium subscribers only. So
5
that
hours,
means
how often?
Once a month.
Per month.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So what that means is whenever we do that show, to be able to see it, you have got to be subscribed to Rumble Premium. Like you don't have to be a $5 monthly contributor or anything like that, but you do have to subscribe to Rumble Premium. That's one of the reasons why they're pushing those ads we read.
Oh, okay. So
I
got that part wrong. So it's not subscribed to the show to see.
Right. It's subscribed to Rumble Premium
content.
Yeah.
Be a premium Rumble subscriber. Okay.
Yep. And so Rumble Premium is pretty cool because that way you don't have any ads. You're supporting Rumble itself directly. And also, if you are going to subscribe to Rumble Premium, starting on the 1st, you can actually subscribe to Rumble Premium directly from the TMI channel. And so what that means is that there'll be a little profit sharing model. So a portion of the $10 that you spend a month, or if you do the annual purchase, the TMI show will get a percentage of that. It's kind of like YouTube Red. So you get it. So it's profit sharing. So it's really cool. I'm glad Rumble's doing it. And it's going to be nice because
it's a socialist model, Ted.
That's what I like.
Everybody has to be a collective creator and put out premium content in order for everybody to sign up for Rumble Premium, not be subscribing to one channel or like cherry picking or doing a la carte subscription. This is buy the premium upgrade, and then you can see everybody's
Everybody's premium stuff, like Tucker Carlson, the TMI, whoever, whatever creator is that's on Rumble, if they're premium only, you get to see it. Like if you want to see Zionist cuck Tim Pool, you can see him if you're a Rumble premium subscriber. Or you can get real news here at the TMI channel by being a Rumble premium subscriber. Okay. So it is good, and the whole reason why they're doing it is because YouTube controls like over 90% of the ad revenue on the internet. Yeah. And so this is how Rumble is working to compete with that, be able to survive and be able to start. Let's be honest, a content channel cannot survive without content creators, and you can't have content creators if they can't. Yeah, and if you can't pay your bills, you're not gonna have content creators. So that's how that model works. So just be on the lookout for that. Starting on the 1st.
Okay, gotcha. And okay, so I got that all twisted with like locals and all. So
that's entirely different animals. So locals and the and the channel subscriptions, that supports us directly, but not necessarily Rumble as a platform. Rumble Premium supports Rumble as a platform and the TMI Show.
Gotcha. So if they sub while they're watching our show, they're like, "Hey, I'm going to upgrade to premium." That too will help our channel directly.
Correct. And we don't have. Yep, and we don't have to be live either. So like how to subscribe to be a monthly subscriber, you've got to subscribe while we're live. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yes, I agree. That's oh god.
Starting on the 1st, like for example, if you go to my Putin Bot Gaming channel, you will see a little button right there on my channel page. I'll say subscribe to Rumble Premium, and then I would get a portion of that.
As an offer.
Of that.
Okay.
Yep. So it's always up there, and that happens with us on the 1st.
Oh, excellent. I like this new model. That sounds excellent because the whole subscribe only when we're live limits the chances that we're going to find people to want to support us.
Oh, it's completely retarded. Like when Ted wanted to subscribe to me on Rumble, it was a nightmare. So
that's true. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, Rumble's still fairly young relative to YouTube, so they have to figure out some kinks. I get it.
Yep.
Fine. Okay. So now we got that squared away. So starting May 1, we have to start producing our 5 hours of premium content for the network. Basically, that's what it is, right? Basically, is Rumble is the network, and this isn't a thing for us on YouTube, obviously, because they will censor. They don't like some of the stuff that we cover, as we learned last week when I screwed up and didn't take the feed off of YouTube, and we're talking about trans stuff, and we were all fighting. It was a big 3-way fight here, and they were not into that at YouTube.
But just remember though, I mean, while we don't have profit sharing on YouTube, people can do super chats. They can become monthly subscribers on YouTube. Sure. It's just. It's just the difference is that they will
censor us. That's the difference.
100%. I mean, Rumble supports free speech, and also Rumble as a platform is getting behind the TMI Show. So pick your poison or your medicine. Well, that'll go away now.
There it is. Thank you, Robbie. Ted?
Yes.
All right. We've got a couple more headlines to get to before we say goodbye, before we wrap up. What say you? Should we just jump into number 2, 3, and 4? Just 3 more.
Let's just do them.
Yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's do what's left of the headlines.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Are you done, Jaws? Are you done at long last? Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says his country will never yield to the U.S. as he declared victory in Canada's federal elections early this morning, following a campaign overshadowed by provocations and steep trade tariffs imposed by Trump. The Liberal Party leader issued a stunning rebuke to Trump as he sent a message of unity to his divided nation, promising to represent anyone who calls Canada home. As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. But these are not idle threats. Trump is trying to break us so America could own us, Carney said, as he hailed a remarkable reversal in fortune for his Liberal Party. That will never happen. Carney reiterated statements he made on the campaign trail about the relationship between the U.S. and Canada. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves, and above all, we have to take care of each other, he said. I'm not sure what one does with a madman. So Voters have returned Canada's Liberal Party now for a 4th consecutive term, something that nobody thought would happen. But it remains to be seen whether Carney has won an actual majority or whether he'll have to form a coalition because Canada has a parliamentary system. The Liberal Party victory was tempered by them appearing set to fall short of the 172 seats needed to govern. So we'll see what happens there. Conservative opposition leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat earlier today, capping a bad night for his party. He also will lose the seat he himself has held for nearly 2 decades. Former central banker Carney, 60 years old, has led a wave of anti-Trump sentiment since winning his party's leadership contest in a landslide after Justin Trudeau stepped down as prime minister. He's rallied the public against Trump's threats to annex Canada and made the defense of Canada a central part of his party platform. Poilievre had been the favorite to win when Trudeau announced his resignation amid a serious cost of living crisis and an internal revolt in his cabinet. But then Trump came into play. His tariffs against Canada and threats to its sovereignty dramatically transformed the race into a referendum against the United States and Trump. Poilievre said his Conservatives will work with Carney across the aisle in defending Canada's interests and protecting our sovereignty. We will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump, he said. So Trump has managed to be a uniter and not a divider in Canada.
Yeah, even still, I think it's the Canucks. The Canucks did this to themselves. They've just elected a Trudeau 2.0. They've been pissed off at Trudeau for years, trying to recall him multiple times. And now they've just elected his wingman, right? Like, so this is just another, not that this guy is much better, whose name I can't say, like Pierre Poilievre. I'm not saying he would have been the best choice, but you're either choosing a shit sandwich or a shit salad, but pick one. It's kind of like here in the US, it's what do you want, right? Pick your poison. But now they've just picked another, it's another Trudeau. We've seen what they did during COVID, during the lockdowns, during the trucker protests. And it wasn't just Trudeau. It was his entire left liberal party, which Carney hails from. And he's a banker. He's a World Bank guy. So, this is, I'm a little bit surprised, not because I was pulling for the other guy. I was just surprised that this guy won. I don't think that was the best choice for Canada, but they kind of have bad choices, Ted. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's like us. It's like us. They really have modeled themselves after the US.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they even copy our money.
Have they changed their money?
Well, all the coins are the same exact color and size as ours. Other countries don't do that.
Yeah, I've used their, I forgot, what is it? Their loonie or whatever.
The loonie. Yeah, that's the exception, right? They have a Canadian dollar coin.
Yeah, the loonie coin. I've used it because
it's named after a bird.
Yes.
There's
not
a bird. A silly bird is on it.
Could be crazy too. But
all
yeah,
right.
I'm a little disappointed in our neighbors to the north and in my Canadian friends.
Why?
Well, for the reasons I just outlined, that this party sucks.
Well, so do the Conservatives.
That's what I'm saying. But I think at least the Conservatives were on the side of the truckers and not getting the truckers, canceled. They canceled the Liberals. This party, Carney's party, Trudeau's party, are the ones that went after, were like the COVID, like,
I know, that's true.
And
that is bad.
They locked down the truckers' bank accounts. They froze their money. They did all kinds of totalitarian stuff. So from there on, I was like, I don't like you guys.
But the Canadian, look, the thing is, this is a lesson here for us here in the United States that, like, when we rile up people in another country, we may get results that we may not like. And really, truly, it's best to not fuck with other countries for no reason whatsoever, which is what Trump's been doing. I mean, fucking with Canada is the embodiment of fucking with, of
it's not
fuck around
Trump.
And find out. Trump just fucked around and he found out.
I would look.
He endorsed the conservative. He endorsed the opposite of the. If he hadn't endorsed this guy's enemy, he would have lost.
I would rather, if this is what you call American meddling, I would far fucking rather have the U.S. president talk shit and be considered meddling rather than, like the 80s and 90s going into Latin America and creating dirty wars and meddling in those countries.
Sure, agreed. But he threatened to invade, militarily. Hello.
Trump he was not going to bring U.S. soldiers to invade Canada.
But think about this is the kind of presidency we have.
Trump talking shit.
But the president's not supposed to talk shit. One of the jobs of the president is to not talk shit.
Now.
That's
the
one of the things.
Go out the window. It's 2025. Those like staunch, like, I'm the president. Your
word is your bond. You mean what you do. What you say. You mean
out the window.
You do what you
shit.
say what you mean. You mean what you say. No,
you're a New Yorker. You guys talk shit. That's the New York thing.
Yeah, but when you become president, it's like it's sort of like if you're elected to the United States Senate, you don't wear your fucking jogging shorts to the floor of the Senate, Mr. Fetterman. And so I'm just saying, like, it's savage and it's uncivilized.
Okay, look, Ted. Across the world, Trump has reshaped what politics looks like. And now we have both parties in both chambers here in the US all talking shit and cursing and dropping F-bombs during it's a new norm. Since Trump came into office the first time, it was a landslide that came into global politics, and it made it okay for the politicians to take off the fucking fake veneer.
Well, clearly,
we all know it's fake.
Clearly, it's not fake. Okay for. Well, look, I don't care. I'm happy with the results there in Canada, but I'm just going to say, if Trump is interested in having, I think Trump would rather have a conservative, have the conservatives win in Canada, and he fucked up. So by definition, he lost. He screwed up for himself. I don't care that he screwed up for himself. It's his own incompetence that's fucking him up.
Yeah, who knows? Like, maybe he said that the other guy, the young guy, Polivier, would have been a harder person to deal with, but he would have respected him more.
By the way,
so I think he's going to have more fun. He's going to have more fun using this guy as a punching bag.
Look at that Carney for Canada sign. I mean, the graphic designer must have spent 5 minutes on that sign. I mean, wow.
It's bad.
That's it's
pretty bad.
I'm like, Mr. Carney, I'm a professional graphic artist. Rall.com/contact. Get in touch. We'll do your signs right next time.
The dude that did the sign.
I am going to charge you $10,000 though. Okay, so
the dude that did this sign probably charged like 20,000 Canadian.
Which
probably
is like
for this
$4. Okay, all right. So let's move on here. All right, a U.S. Navy FA-18E Super Hornet fighter jet slipped off the edge of a aircraft carrier deck and sank into the Red Sea. Oopsie, as the ship was making a hard turn, possibly to avoid fire from the Houthis, according to reports. The $56 million warplane is gone, daddy, gone, as the violent femmes used to say, but the pilot made it out alive. The jet was being towed out of a hangar on the USS Harry S. Truman when the carrier suddenly shifted and the tractor pulling it lost control, sending both the jet and the vehicle overboard. I wonder what happened to the guy who was driving the tractor. Initial reports from the scene indicate that the Truman made a sudden turn in order to evade a Houthi attack. The Houthi rebel group claimed on Monday to have launched a drone and missile attack against the ship, according to the outlet. The pilot and Navy sailor driving the tractor managed to jump free. Okay, so there's the answer to that question. With only one sustaining a minor injury. Sailors towing the aircraft took immediate action to move clear of the aircraft before it fell overboard. The USS Truman carrier group has been subjected to constant threats from the Iranian-backed group in Yemen. It's stationed in the Red Sea to protect commercial shipping in the area, which has been attacked regularly by the Houthis. Nuclear-powered aircraft carriers like the Truman can carry up to 130 fighter jets, but usually have about 36 to 48 at any given time.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that other than that's like a $60 million whoops or 60?
It's a $16 million whoops. I mean, look, honestly, you know me, not on team military ever. I would eliminate 95% of the military budget tomorrow if I could.
Yeah.
That said, you've seen the footage of those aircraft carriers and like just what a delicate operation it is to land and take off from those things. I mean, you know, it's very, very tight. It's hard. And so it's not the only thing that's surprising is that there's not more mishaps more often. It's very crowded real estate. It's very tough. I mean, those guys do an amazing job. Every now and then,
yeah, it's awesome to see.
You're going to have it's awesome. And when they land and they have those wires that catch them. I mean, it's like them. Yeah, I mean it's really cool. They do a great job considering. And so every now and then you're going to lose a $16 million plane. That's just how it goes.
No, $70 million aircraft according to ABC. 70. I was
do you think the Houthis will try to? Do you think the Houthis will try to
retrieve it?
Yeah, and try to bring it back up and fly
power?
Around and fuck with the Americans.
Well, remember not that long ago, the U.S. military also lost another jet because it missed its landing on one of the carriers, like in Asia somewhere, off the Asian coast, and the Chinese were able to retrieve it.
Yeah, I was going to say I could see the Chinese or the Russians trying to get it because the
Chinese retrieved it,
take it apart and see look at the components. Right. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, just like we downed those hot air balloons or whatever weather balloons, to see what's in that. Yeah,
and rightly so.
Same type of thing.
Terror
this
balloons.
time it's so these are a whole brand new fighter jet. And I thought, Doge, if you are listening, we know you do listen. This was $70 million you could have saved rather than cutting off employees and their paychecks and their pensions. This is one oops.
True.
That is $70 million.
True.
Way more funding than many of these agencies.
Just don't even be there. Just don't be there.
Like, why are we off the Yemeni coast, Ted, to guard shipping lanes?
Yeah, that's frankly not our job.
We're armed security guards now. That's what our military is.
Yeah.
We're armed. That's what our military has been degraded into that. That pisses me off more being the wife of a disabled veteran. That's not what people sign up to give their lives for, is not to be security guards for fucking ships. That's not what they signed up for.
Agreed.
So
and those, for the record here, the ships don't have to go that way. They can go around the southern coast of Africa. They don't have to go that way.
The horn, as it were.
The horny horn of
the horn.
No, that's not the horn. They're going through the horn now.
So where's this?
Cape? That's not. You're thinking of what's it called? Cape something. Cape of Good Hope.
Cape of Good Hope. According to Robbie. Okay,
that's South Africa. The Horn of Africa is like where it looks like that horn jutting out from Ethiopia and Somalia. It's that northeastern part underneath. Yeah.
Okay, that's the horn.
Like at the Gulf of Aden, the entrance to the Red Sea.
Yeah, I got that.
That's your old stomping grounds there, Manila. No, I mean you used to hang out there over in UAE, Dubai, all that stuff. That's like right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't go that far down though.
And finally, on April 29th, 1992, a jury in Simi Valley, California, acquitted 4 LA police officers charged with assault and using excessive force in the videotaped beating of Rodney King. The verdicts were followed by 6 days of riots, which destroyed hundreds of businesses and resulted in over 60 deaths. In Los Angeles, the 4 cops who had been caught on video beating that unarmed African-American driver were acquitted of any wrongdoing. However, hours later, outrage and protest turned to violence. Protesters in South Central Los Angeles blocked freeways and beat up motorists, wrecked and looted numerous downtown stores and buildings, and set over 100 fires. Fury over the acquittal, stoked by years of racial and economic inequality in the city, spilled over into the streets, resulting in a total of almost a week of rioting. It ignited a national conversation about race and economic disparity and police use of force. The article says that continues today, but obviously has had no serious resolution whatsoever because the powers that be like things just the way they are.
Yeah. So first we got to give props to this dude here. That was the guy that taped the Rodney King beating. And
yeah, from his apartment, right? He was in.
Yeah.
He was like he had a good vantage point, and he was fucking around with his new testing out his new video
toy, his new toy for fun, and he just like talk about just timing. He just happened to be there, and he taped this. And look, I was a middle schooler when this happened.
By the way, those jurors, what a bunch of assholes. I mean, how could you look at that video and say, oh, they didn't do anything wrong? Those cops were totally within their rights to do what they did. I don't care what Rodney King did. I don't care if he called them names. I don't care if he punched at them. I don't care that he led them on a high-speed chase, which he did. And by the way, if I had those guys chasing me, I'd be driving fast too to get away from them. Look at what they do when they catch
LAPD.
You know, I mean, so, LAPD they're the worst.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty rough. I don't know if there's been too many reforms. One of my close girlfriends, one of my best girlfriends is LAPD. I'm not saying all of them are bad.
One of my attorneys in LA told me that it would be wise for me after my situation with the LAPD and the LA Times to not ever drive in LA lest I be pulled aside and bad things happen to me. And I said, well, what would happen?
Probably smart.
And he said, well, honestly, it's not unheard of that you would be caught by the police and then you would be killed. And I'm like, killed? You just disappear. And I was like, you're saying that the LAPD kills people and their enemies? He's like, yes.
Yeah. You'll somehow wind up dead. I have, cousins of cousins that have ended up dead. So, there are things like that happen. Maybe I'll explain it another time.
It's a gang.
It is. So there's a lot of dirty cops. And when you have a big police department like that, and it's hard to rein in everybody.
And if you're not dirty, you don't last. You're like, I hate this place. And you just quit. You just leave.
Yeah, they squeeze you. So as a kid, when this broke out, I was in middle school. I mean, I was a kid, but I was a preteen. So I remember, a preteen and teen when this all broke out. I remember I grew up off of like in the East Whittier, where the East LA region meets. So off of Slauson Boulevard, right? Where it's a straight shot where you'll get to Florence, and you'll get to Florence and Normandy in downtown, just the smack center of downtown, which is where all of this stuff broke out. If there weren't traffic, if there weren't cars, you'd be there in 15 minutes, right? But I remember distinctly, they put out some alert at school. I remember some kind of fire alarm, like a bell, and then they pulled us out onto the blacktop, like the basketball blacktops, and explained to us that there is some violence that's moving down Slauson. We could see the black smoke and plumes of smoke happening. And we're kids, we're middle schoolers. We're like, what is happening? We didn't know. So we were being released early. Our parents had to come pick us up. The school was locked down. And me already being a young news junkie, even then, immediately turned on the TV, saw what this was. I mean, this had already been on the news, so I knew it was related to this. But there was also this was the spark, but there was already signs that there were fractures between like the Asian and Black community and the cops in what we call K-Town in downtown LA, right?
Koreatown.
Because Koreatown is what it sounds like. A lot of Koreans.
And there's a lot of Korean restaurants, Korean businesses. That's where KFI Radio used to be headquartered. So I spent a lot of time there.
So there was a little Black girl the year before Rodney King that was gunned down by a Korean liquor store owner, a middle-aged Korean lady. She alleged that she thought the little girl was going to pull out a gun or something. She was actually pulling out money to pay for her orange juice. And that Korean store owner somehow beat the charges and walked free when she went to court. It was a stunning thing, and somehow the Black community didn't erupt from that, but they were pissed. So the tensions had already simmered because of that. And when Rodney King happened and the verdict came out for that, that's what did it. That was the straw, and LA went nuts. And the worst part about LAPD, come to find out, many years later, was the Korean shop owners couldn't get out of K-Town. The cops are the ones, they say that there's violence that broke out onto the freeways. No, the freeways weren't fucking shut down because of the people, Ted. The freeway was shut down and enclosed. If anybody looks at a map of downtown Los Angeles, there's the 10, the 5, the 101 freeways that kind of like the Beltway, like loops around downtown LA. The police shut down the freeways and would not let people on or off. They blocked the Korean store owners from even getting in or out. So they couldn't get help. They couldn't. So that's how you got the story of the armed rooftop Koreans from the now, iconic images of that. And I remember worrying as an Asian kid in a minority, in a overwhelmingly Hispanic community. And I thought, oh my God, are they going to start targeting me and my family because they think that we're Korean? We're not Korean. We're not shop owners. We're like, we have nothing to do with this. But that was a real threat. So this was, I would say the very first of people filming police, the very first of like a BLM movement that wasn't, didn't have a name back then. And also the very first time that America saw that, oh shit, maybe Asians aren't these weak little nerdy
but it also
ourselves.
It did show that, and the Asians were badasses, but it also showed for the first time to white America, hey, when Black people say they get treated like shit by the cops, oh, they may not be making things up.
Right. So there's a lot of this. I think what we have seen in 2020 actually became a thing the first time in 1992. And people don't realize it was the LA riots that really, I think, set the stage for what we saw.
And by the way, it became part of the culture in LA to start documenting interactions with the police, locally. So my whole thing with the LA Times began, the predecessor to it goes back to 2001. I was in LA walking in West Hollywood on Beverly when a LAPD police officer approached me. I had just recorded a Bill Maher show, real time, and at Television City, and I was walking over to dinner with some friends. It was about 8:00 at night, and this cop basically assaulted me, and immediately there was on Melrose, not on Beverly. There was a crowd of people that immediately surrounded. And there were no cell phones back then, but people just started basically being witnesses, so that to protect me from the cop, because everyone in Los Angeles knows that the police are very dangerous. So whenever there's any interaction between a cop and a civilian, like people, if they can, they stop and they witness it. Now they have their phones going, of course.
Yeah.
But that was the culture in LA and at the time. And that whole incident, which became the subject of controversy 14 years later, when I wrote about it in the LA Times, that was, the irony is the only person recording the whole thing was the policeman. And it ended up screwing him over years later that he did that. But anyway, the point is, that's part of the culture in LA. And, it's hard to understand. I mean, cops are, there are bad cops everywhere, but LAPD, that's their culture. It's highly militarized. There's 20,000 of them. There's too many of them.
Yes.
And they've been trained to be to have a warrior rather than a guardian mentality. They don't care about you at all. They only care about themselves.
When I lived in downtown LA, when I first came back from the Middle East, and I lived squarely, right downtown Pershing Square, not far from Union, not far from the mayor's city hall, mayor's office. There was a number of times that we, as a resident, we would get notices to not, oh, don't be scared. People might rappel down the side of your building because the LAPD is doing tactical training. And this building is going to be used. Don't worry. It's not anything bad. Like, and I remember thinking, what? Like, what the fuck are we training? What are we training them for? Why are they going to be like commando style? Why would LAPD need to be rappelling down the side of my apartment building in the middle of downtown Los Angeles? Like, why are you doing this? That makes no sense. And you would see like these blacked out helicopters that belong to PD. They would, land. I could see the Capital One tower behind me. I mean, it's actually my background over here. I could see the Capital One building. That's the helipad for LAPD and LA sheriffs. They land there. So you're seeing these like weird military tactical things. They would shut down the streets. You would see Bearcats out there. And I'm thinking, why do you have like things like that look like tanks out on the streets of downtown LA? What are you preparing for? And I was already very suspect, obviously, is that, like, are you going to martial law this motherfucker? Like, what is happening here? But we've ever since then, this was like 2010, 2011. So ever since then, we have only seen more and more police departments around the country get more and more and more militarized because the DOD has a hand-me-down sale. I forget the code name, the numbers that are involved, but it's basically a hand-me-down program to local PDs to buy on pennies on the dollar these Bearcats and tanks and what practically
Humvees, tanks, armored personnel carriers. I was laughing my ass off. The city of Southampton, yes, that Hampton, in the Hamptons. It's the Hampton. They have an armored personnel carrier just in case the billionaires decide to get feisty.
Wait, MRAPs to combat the rich folk?
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In case in case Jeff Bezos gets out of control one night.
Well, yeah, you needed the MRAPs in downtown LA, Ted. I mean, because of all of us hipsters going out for like boba and cigarettes, all the hipsters at the time walking around Art Walk, we might just do something wild there. And the homeless, they got all those weapons in those tents, Ted. That's what's in there is
absurd.
You got an RPG in there, maybe?
Yeah, for sure.
But this is how it all happened in downtown LA, and this is how it started on this day in 1992, and that helped shape. It was my formative years, Ted. Middle school is the formative years. This helped shape my view about the world. I already, growing up Lao American, I already kind of knew about the military. But then when I saw all of this happening, and I thought, well, the cops are supposed to be the good guys. Why would they trap the Koreans there? That they can't get out. And you're not helping them.
Well, cops supposed to be the good guys is, what's the word? Oh, yeah, not true.
But that's what they tell the kids in school. That's what they tell the kids in school, as you know. All right, guys, that does it for us. Happy riot anniversary to you, Ted.
Happy riot anniversary to you, too.
All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. Manila Chan, Ted Rall, and producer Robbie there in the background. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll be talking about trauma.
Are we? I don't even know what.
I'm telling you, we have a guest coming on to talk, an author who wrote a book about trauma. He's going to come on and tell you about like how trauma kicks your ass, which you probably would know if you've ever been traumatized.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure.
Everyone's been traumatized.
That hard push your feelings all the way down Asian culture, like
that's a form of trauma.
Feelings. What are you telling me about feelings, Ted? I don't have those.
Yeah, we're gonna maybe we'll torture some out of you. All right.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Adios, amigos.